Hi guys, Alec Peirce, Vintage Scuba. Yeah, this is for you old guys. If you're under 25 years of age, go to a different channel. Sorry. No. In fact, you know what? If you're under 25 years of age and a scuba diver, you should listen to this. It's too often that somebody comes into a dive store and sees a fantastic new product, regulator, BC, says, wow, when did they invent that? They didn't invent that. Everything was developed. At one time, we dove with some pretty crude equipment. It was very crude. We often made it ourselves. Trust me, it was crude. And then over the years it improved. We said, oh, that doesn't work, try this, and they tried this, and some other guy tried it, and eventually we found a piece of equipment that worked really, really well. And then dive companies came along and they produced it, and here you go. What I wanted to quickly show you is, where did we get dive gear in the 50s and the 60s? I started diving in 1958 first time, became certified in 1960, a long time ago. And there were some dive stores around, but there were only a few, and they were always in large metropolitan areas, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, Toronto, Vancouver. There weren't in little towns like Lindsay, my hometown. You have no idea where that is, do you? Lindsay, 10,000 people. Or where I live now, Brecken, 200 people. No dive stores there, trust me. So it was difficult. We didn't have Amazon, didn't have internet. We had a phone. But we had the Sears catalog. Yeah, this is a Sears Roebuck, or later became Simpson Sears, Eaton's, whatever you want to call it. This is an old one, 1957. And these were great catalogs, and these were delivered free. Big catalog. Free catalog to every household in Canada and the United States if you wanted it. And you could buy anything in here. You can buy almost anything. Let me show you a couple of things in here. The reason I'm going to show you this is, since this is a scuba diving video, Sears and other large companies, mail order companies, sold scuba gear. Up in one section up here, over with trailers and other hardware, right up in here. Look at that. You can buy scuba gear. Now, I happen to recognize some of that scuba gear, and this is not Sears Roebuck, although interestingly enough, there was a Sears regulator. It wasn't made by Sears. They put their name on it. But I recognize some of this equipment. It came from a variety of manufacturers. Voigt, at the time, Sportsways, at the time, Healthways, at the time, companies are all gone now. But all this equipment was scuba gear, and you just go down here and pick out what you want, and you send, there's a form at the back, you fill the form out, and send along a check or cash in the mail. Yeah. There were no credit cards back then, so you could order aqua-lung, breathing device, 70 cubic foot tank, $137. Tank, regulator, ready to go. $137, yeah. And send it along, fill out the form, off it goes, and a little while later, usually within about a week or so, you would have your new aqua-lung pack. So this is one of the sources. I wanted to show you, as you're saying to yourself, wow, they sold gear from Simpson Sears in the catalog. Yeah, well, when I said earlier that you could buy anything from Simpson Sears, from Sears Roebuck at the time, I mean exactly that. Take a look here. That's right. If you said to your dad, Dad, I think I want a pony for Christmas, then he would go to the Sears catalog and he would flip to page 367, and right there would be the pony, and he would pick out the color and the size, send off the form with his check or cash, and a little later a truck would pull up out front and your pony would step off the truck. Unbelievable, huh? I don't need to mention dogs. You want a dog, you got a favorite, you got a Cocker Spaniel, there you go. Send off your $27 and a Cocker Spaniel would be delivered by truck in a few days. That was a pretty special time in life, that's absolutely for sure. Now later, what happened was, as scuba diving became more popular, of course, we started to get more and more scuba diving equipment. Now Pally's, some of you may remember Pally's. Pally's was a fantastic store, big war surplus store, and you could buy a lot of stuff from Pally's. Electronic equipment, communications equipment, compressors, tanks, all kinds of stuff from Pally's. And eventually, certainly as all war surplus stuff, of course, eventually as scuba diving became more important, Pally's used to have their own section just on scuba diving. So you could buy all kinds of stuff. Now this wasn't Pally's brand, once again. These were the brands that were commonly sold in dive stores that were just starting to open up at the time. So there's wetsuits and dry suits, and there's scuba gear, and there's masks in there. Let me see if I can find the one with tanks. There you go. Some of this is U.S. Divers, some of it's Voigt, Healthways, Pirelli was big at the time, so all kinds of scuba gear. And again, Pally's was a mail order war surplus store. So you would phone them, you could phone them, or you could send in the order form with your cash or check in the mail. Oh yeah, very common. And pretty soon your stuff would arrive. It's pretty neat. And then eventually dive stores came along. One of the biggest dive stores ever to exist in North America was a place called Central Skin Divers. We've talked about it before. Central Skin Divers is pretty special to me because my very first fins, a genuine set of gum rubber UDT training duck feet, were ordered from Honest Archie. I've told you this story before, that Honest Archie, who, by the way, I learned recently, used to own a bar next door to his dive store. You would send off your money. Now, the fins I wanted, looking at the ad in Skin Diver magazine, were the duck feet. I wanted the UDT training ones. I didn't want any, kids' fins, because I was a frogman. Were $9.95. Yeah, so no tax, no shipping. So I put $10. A $10 Canadian bill in an envelope with the order form filled out and mailed it quickly to Honest Archie. And about a week, 10 days later, I got a box back from Central Skin Divers in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah. And inside the box were my fins. And I still have those fins. I have lots of pictures of me using those fins. Yeah. And by the way, there was a dollar bill in there too, because at that time the American dollar was lower than the Canadian dollar, and Honest Archie, I guess true to his name, right, sent me back $1. And in here there was everything in here, all kinds of page after page of masks and snorkels and fins, and then you got into scuba gear eventually, and all kinds of weight belts and wetsuits, and oh gosh, what could you buy in here? All kinds of scuba gear. Compressors, yes. And if you happen to be in the position to purchase, you had a little extra money to spend, well, you could go into Honest Archie's Central Skin Divers catalog, and he would send you a Healthways submarine. Yeah. We could buy a submarine back then. You could send off a bit of money, maybe get your club members together and save up the money and send it off to Honest Archie, and a truck would arrive in a little while with a submarine. That'd be pretty exciting. Fantastic. And then, of course, the large scuba diving companies came along with their genuine catalogs. You may not recognize this, but this is a catalog. This is actually a catalog, yeah, 1961. Doesn't look that pretty, does it? No pretty pictures of girls in bathing suits. No, they were pretty bland back then, but everything's in there. These are Healthways equipment. Healthways was a very big scuba manufacturer. They had 2 hose regulators and 1 hose regulators, all kinds of stuff. They had the famous automatic decompression meter, but some of you may remember we've talked about that, the Bend-O-Matic, it was called, nickname, because it wasn't very good. There's no guarantee you wouldn't get the bends. And I wanted to show you something else, by the way, there's that submarine, yeah. That was different about catalogs back then. Today you buy a catalog and you get a pretty picture of the regulator, and it tells you about the regulator, and you buy it and you go and use it. That's it. And when you need some service, you take it to your local dive store and the guy fixes it. You have no idea what he does. But back then, in the 50s and the 60s and right up until the 70s, the catalogs included parts. That's right. So there's a complete parts breakdown of the regulator. And if you needed to order that part, you went down here, part number 27, it was $4.95. You would send off $4.95 or go to your dive store and say, I want part number, Healthways part number 1-203, and they would get the part in and you could fix your regulator yourself. Very, very common. We built our own regulators using war surplus materials from Pally's, and of course we had to fix them ourselves too. Same for spear guns. So the catalogs are a little bit different. You don't see this anymore. No. Anyway, there you go, guys. A little bit of history about where we got our scuba diving gear years ago. Sears, you could buy a pony and a scuba tank at the same time. I'm not sure if you get a discount for volume, not sure. Or from war surplus stores. It was a great time to be alive. We had a lot of fun. I'm going to talk more about what we did in the 50s and 60s when I dig out my old science and mechanics, popular science catalogs, in which you'll see building our own scuba gear, building our own submarine, lots of submarines, all that kind of stuff. I hope you'll enjoy that too. That's it. Talk to you soon. Alec, Peirce, Vintage Scuba. See you guys.